So put your hand up if you've ever looked at a piece of packaging and wondered which bin it should go in at home. Okay. Put your hand up if you've ever had an argument with a partner or a family member about whether something's recycled or not. Okay, so basically the Australasian Recycling Label is for you, for me, and everyone in Australia, because we all face the same problem. It doesn't matter how expert, like people think I'm a recycling expert, they keep bringing up my friends and family. What do I do with this? What do I do with that? I don't bloody know most of the time. So that's why we developed the Australasian Recycling Lab, and eventually we hope that it might even go outside of packaging and end up on products as well. So it's really that easy at point. We're in fast brain mode when this sort of thing happens. Just got to find my clicker. And we need to have something that will tell us very quickly, usually in 10 seconds or less. That's about the decision time we're prepared to have. So it's absolutely crucial that it be clear and easy to understand. We spent a lot of time on background research to do this, so we're not changing the label, no matter what you say. We've done a lot of research. But why is it needed? So we basically have created what I call the recycling guessing game. Okay, you get given a piece of packaging and it'll have a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes it'll tell you, don't throw it in a bin, but then tell you to recycle it. Well, which one is it? You know, it's a tidy man symbol linked with a vague Mobius loop. This is not sensible, is it? Like, and I know not all these are available in Australia, but these are all the recycling symbols that exist in the world on packaging. So we need to get standardised. And so there are standardised systems that exist now in the UK, in the US, and Australia has now got one. And they're not exactly the same, unfortunately, but they are very similar, and very similar in their technology. So we know from our research that most people get confused when they see recycling symbols. So even the best one, which is the Mobius loop, 79% got that. As soon as you start introducing complexity, you get lower and lower numbers. That's the top blue colour at the top there. So we based our symbol on the Mobius loop. It's the most famous symbol in this space, but we've added technology to it. Let's put it this way. So we're at our bin wondering, what do we do with that particular form of packaging? And often we're also wish cycling. We wish there was a magic fairy that would put no matter what it is, I put it in that yellow bin and a fairy will make sure it gets recycled. That is also not a good technique at all. That's why we have high levels of contamination. There is no such thing as a magic recycling fairy. So technology will help solve this. Technology and good education. First thing is the development of the tool. Jayne mentioned the packaging recycling evaluation portal. You can just remember it as the PREP tool. It simulates a MRF. And it's the evidence base for someone being able to put something on a package. If you're a brand owner, you can't put the label on until you put it through the PREP tool. And it tells you what to put on that label. That's absolutely essential. And I'll give you a bit more detail on that. And then obviously we've got the label system, which really has generally 3 elements. Sometimes, because remember, we're also covering every form of the package. You don't have to worry about whether, it will tell you whether the lid, for example, should stay on or stay off. Those sorts of questions as well. So it covers every element of a piece of packaging. So when you're using the PREP tool, and you can be a subscriber to this if you're ever wondering, you can use it both as a design. If you're a designer, you can put through a proposed set of packaging and go, I wonder if this is recyclable in Australia. The second way you can use it is actually you've already got existing packaging, you want to tell what label you could put on it. So it simulates a MRF, but it also it obviously takes information from our Recycling New database, which every council in Australia has allowed us to gather their curbside recycling capability. And if something's more than 80% available at more than 80% of the population's front door, curbside, you can use the recyclable symbol. If it's between 60 and 80%, you can use the conditional, which actually I should have put on that. The conditional is the greyed out one. And you notice it can also have instructions. And then below 60%, it's not recyclable. So that's how the current system works. Remember, we did this in consultation with recycling experts, which included people from all sectors of industry, right from MRF operators, right, and included obviously government, particularly local government. And this is the system it's simulating, because recycling system, we're just the front end, we're the unpaid, untrained people who put the stuff in a bin. As I always say, we don't mind being unpaid, we'd like to be trained. And then obviously you see the collection, you see the MRF, but then it's got to end up in a recycling plant at the end of the day, a beneficiation plant, which actually will turn it into a new product. And sometimes it'll turn it into a similar product, plastic bottle going to plastic bottle, or it might be soft plastics going into road base, which then can be recycled. They all contribute to a circular economy. So the prep tool, and again, this is the magic piece of software that is so unique that it's being licensed around the world. So we created in Australia. The packaging label in the UK is now going to use it because they were relying on self-regulation and they were finding that people were making mistakes. This is absolutely crucial. There's a very strong evidence base, and there's a technical advisory committee that makes changes to this software. They're the only people allowed to, and again, they've drawn from all sectors of industry as well. They're all experts in their particular field. So we've got people who run plastic recycling plants like Rob Dvorak from Visi in Sydney, people who really know their stuff in their particular spaces. They're not government officials who are just there for the look or something like that. They're people who are experts in their particular space. And you will end up with a report, and the report will say whether it's recyclable or not, and also show you what the label you can put on the packaging. Absolutely essential if we're going to have a really strong system. And so these are the sections of the label that apply. You'll get a symbol for every component. So in this case, this has a box and a wrap. This is actually not a real product. This is just some graphics, but you can see that the box can be recycled, but the wrap can go through store drop-off, and that's through the Red Cycle system, because that has such a wide coverage now. It's in over 2,000 locations in Australia, and no one has to travel more than 20 k's to actually get one of those. So it does allow for store drop-off and other instructions as well. For example, you might have a situation where it's you might need to scrunch something to turn in like an piece of aluminium into a ball, and that will be enough then for the eddy current to pick it up at the MRF and send it off to the recycling stream. So I've got to leave time for questions, so I'm going to just skip through these next slides quickly. There are already thousands of products labelled. I think we'll be hitting 10,000 products shortly. You can see milk bottles, packaging, vitamin jars, etc. These are the brands that have got involved already. So we've got very high coverage. I think we've got over 200 prep users and over 100 label users. But some people start with the prep and make sure that they can make sure it all works for them, and then they swap over to the label. So we've got very high coverage. You can see lots of major brands there. And we've got lots of information. This is where you guys come in, having this message go out. Well, we've got obviously a certain budget to educate people, but we really need, and we work very closely with local councils. So there's lots of resources. You can go to the ARL.org website, and we've got a whole bunch of new ones just about to come out in June, September, which are very much targeted for you to communicate to your ratepayers now that we've got some good volume. And that's it. Questions, anyone?